Jordan Peele takes on blockbuster spectacle commentary while creating his own version of a blockbuster spectacle. Let's talk about Nope. Weird things are happening around a horse ranch in Southern California, and siblings OJ and Emerald are determined not only to figure out what's going on, but also to get the strange phenomenon on film. Peele's trademarks are all here. You have a thematically rich story that's difficult to describe without spoilers, a seamless blend of suspense and humor, memorable characters, and relevant cultural commentary. What's different this time, though, are the scale and scope, as Nope is easily the most ambitious of his 3 films. This movie is something I had to sit with for longer than I usually do. And normally, this is a very good sign. Movies got you thinking, you want to discuss it, you want to figure out what it's all about. And while I am really interested in the discussion surrounding Nope, very much looking forward to everyone's theories, I had to spend a lot of time figuring out how I feel about what I saw. Here's what I want to start with. Nope is never anything less than entertaining. There are so many great scenes and lines, fun character interactions. It's a great movie to watch with an audience because it's just not something you watch without reacting, and hearing others react similarly makes for an even more entertaining experience. This is easily the funniest of Peele's films for me, which is interesting because comedy is not listed as one of the genres on IMDb, Letterboxd, Rotten Tomatoes, anywhere I looked. It's mostly listed as horror, and this movie is not scary. Now, of course, your mileage may vary with that, and I've seen some people say on social media that they found it to be terrifying. I personally cannot understand that, and it's not me trying to say I'm so tough. I was scared to go to bed plenty of times after watching horror films, but in this case, I would say it's a sci-fi thriller rather than a horror film. There's some really good suspense and tension, but the only real horror moment was clearly inspired by Close Encounters of the Third Kind and had to do with a thunderstorm. To clarify, I am not saying this is a good or a bad thing. This is just a proper expectations thing. If you're expecting a horror epic, which is how this film is often described and how it's presented in the trailers, Nope is more of an interpretation of that idea rather than an actual horror epic. There are 3 things I absolutely loved about this film: characters, cinematography, and sound. The audiovisual aspect of Nope is incredibly impressive, and for that reason, I would not only suggest seeing it on the big screen, but specifically in an IMAX theater if you have that option, because it was shot on IMAX cameras. It's meant to be seen that way. The sound and visuals really work together to create this immersive experience that draws you in and makes you pay attention to every detail, and often you will hear something before you see it, which just adds to the suspense. You have the brilliant Hoyt van Hoytema doing the cinematography, and he not only uses the light incredibly well, but also really utilizes perspective and scale to achieve the necessary effect. The film looks and sounds amazing. As for the characters, they are all very memorable and distinct, not to mention perfectly cast. You have Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer as OJ and Emerald, and as a brother and sister duo, they really couldn't be more different. Kaluuya plays OJ as a very reserved character, someone who internalizes a lot, someone who can convey so much with just one look. Keke Palmer as Emerald, on the other hand, is all energy and charisma. She is so much fun to watch. She is hilarious and is easily the standout of the cast. We need her in more movies. Brandon Perea is really good as well and really funny. Michael Wincott doesn't have a big role, but it's a memorable one. And as someone who was a huge fan of The Crow, I was just really happy to see him. And then we also have Steven Yeun, who plays a character I really wanted to see more of. He's great in the movie, but the subplot he's involved in serves serves mostly a thematic purpose rather than a storytelling purpose, which is unfortunate because I really just wanted to know more and wished everything that had to do with him tied into the story better. Obviously, I'm being vague on purpose, but there are so many questions that I have about his subplot, down to the outfit he's wearing in one of the scenes. It really felt like something got left on the cutting room floor because not only was this aspect of the story underdeveloped, but it also felt so separate narratively from the main storyline. There needed to be either even less of it or a lot more. I would have preferred a lot more because his storyline had so much to do with people's fascination with tragedy and trauma, but also with monetizing tragedy and trauma, that underutilizing this, considering the other themes within the film, just felt like an odd choice. Plus, as I mentioned, narratively, it didn't feel like it tied in as well as it should have. It left me asking a lot of questions, but not in a good way. This is a character I need people to make theory videos about because I am struggling to fill in some blanks here. This gets me into my main issue with Nope. There are all these great individual elements and entire sections of this movie, but as a whole, it does not come together as well as you would hope, especially considering the ending, and the elements don't fit as tightly as they do in Jordan Peele's previous two films. I often talk about how art is greater than the sum of its parts, and particularly about how easy it can be to forgive flaws along the way when overall everything comes together into this larger piece of storytelling. Nope is kind of the opposite of that. Ultimately, cinema is about storytelling, and being a cohesive story is where Nope falls short for me. There are fun characters, there are great individual scenes, there's humor and suspense, there's great cinematography and sound, there are plenty of interesting themes to look into. I already mentioned the obsession with watching and monetizing tragedy and trauma, but also there's commentary on the movie industry, on the appeal of spectacle, and on exploitation in media. The film floats in and out of these themes, as well as a few other things that I don't want to spoil, but as a story, it's messy. There are certain elements that never deliver a payoff. The movie occasionally breaks its own rules, and pieces of the narrative just don't work together as well as they should. Personally, while I love when a film can generate a good discussion, I don't think it should come at the cost of storytelling, and the writing in this film is simply not as strong as it is in the director's two previous films. That being said, there is a lot to appreciate here, and at the end of the day, the two main reactions I heard after the screenings were, "This is brilliant," and "What the hell did I just watch?" I don't know about you, but when I hear a film gets such strong responses, it immediately makes me curious. I may not have loved it as much as I hoped I would, but it certainly left a strong impression. I'm going with a solid 7 out of 10 for Nope because even a flawed Jordan Peele film still has a lot to offer and gives you a lot to think about.